Live from the Bronx, we are the podcast that celebrates Bronx creators and change makers. I'm your boy KB.
What is going on, beautiful people? It is your boy Jay.
And we are in season 2 of Live from the Bronx, and we are here with another BX creative and change maker. Today we have Hector Castillo Carvajal, founder of Don Carvajal Café. He's a 24-year-old Afro-Latino entrepreneur on a mission to reimagine the specialty coffee market. Hector, how are you feeling, my brother?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm feeling good, feeling great. Energy's high, we're just hustling and grinding, and the weather's nice outside. The BX is shining right now. We can't be mad.
Talk that talk, say that. BX in the building. Yo,
Hector,
we're excited to have you on. We're excited to learn about the coffee business, and just by the energy, we already know this episode's about to be popping. So we always like to start off with getting a chance to get to know our guest. We want our audience to learn who you are, learn a little bit more about what they're about to hear later on in this episode. So we're going to start with the first question being, how do you identify?
I identify as Afro-Latino, Afro-Dominican. I think it's very important, that we, or at least that I acknowledge my, African-American, Afro roots, and that's a big conversation. That's a big taboo in the Dominican culture. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't like to identify their Blackness. And I think for me, it's something that I was able to acknowledge and see about myself because, I grew up with my fellow African-Americans in the Bronx and people from different cultures from around the world. And when I was in history class and I was like, damn, fam, we all look alike. I was like, we all look alike. When you look at these history books, you know what I mean? Like our histories, we all come from marginalized communities. You know what I mean? We all, when it comes to being a minority, we all get put in one box. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I really acknowledged what it was for me. And I know it's a very controversial term nowadays. Some people are against this. Some people think you should just be this or be that. But for my personal sake, I'm Afro-Latino, Afro-Dominican, and that's it. You know what I'm saying?
And to that point though, right? It's for everyone to do their homework and figure out where they come from and who they are, right? So if you deny your African roots, chances are you probably did not do your homework or just don't fully understand how deep the diaspora is, right? So I love that you opened up with that. And I would encourage everyone to, do a DNA test, right? Learn about their family, learn about where they come from, etc. It changes the game, and it also gives you a different level of power and empowerment that you probably didn't have prior to, but trust, it's a game changer.
So Hector, did you grow up like identifying as Afro-Latino? Was that something like your family did that, or was that something that you had to come to on your own?
It's one of those things where I came onto it on my own. You know what I mean? I'm a first generation college student. I'm a first of many things in my family. And it was one of those things where I kind of had to become independent to achieve what some people constitute as success today. For me, I don't think I'm successful just yet. I have so much more to go. But it was one of those things where that was a part of me building myself. You know what I mean? And if you want to look at it on a business lens, it's my personal brand. If you want to look at it on a individual basis, it's my personal identity. You know what I mean? Like when I look at other people and other cultures and the world itself and history, I just came to terms with it. You know what I mean? I really appreciate things like the Black Lives Matter movement and other historical pieces that you see on social, because if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't really know a lot of things nowadays. You know what I mean? Like my mom didn't have a Black Lives Matter movement. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what her identity might have been back then if she did have something as a piece of education like that. You know what I'm saying? So I think nowadays we have things like Google. You know what I mean? And Google is a really powerful tool. That's literally how I learned how to get into the coffee industry. That's how I learned business, and that's how I learned trading stocks. Google. You know what I mean? So I think it was one of those things where it sparked curiosity, and then I went on my own journey to self-educate myself on what wasn't being taught to me.
Yeah, and I think that's powerful, right? The fact that we are the information age, we have access to learn. There's always more learning to do. So I appreciate the fact that you said you were a lot of it. You were curious, so you went to find out more. One thing that you did say that I don't agree with, you say you're not successful. We don't have non-successful people on our show. There's levels to success, right? You're not where you want to be yet, but we wouldn't be talking to you right now if you wasn't successful on this Tuesday evening. So we are a Bronx podcast. One of the things we like to talk to all our guests about is what's their connection to the Bronx. I know your office is in the Bronx. You're in the Bronx right now. So tell us about your Bronx roots.
Yeah, the Bronx, man. I have a dream to make the Bronx brew as a coffee one time when we open up. But I was born in the Dominican Republic. My family and I immigrated here when I was 8 years old, and I've been in the Bronx ever since. I grew up in Fordham. Now I live by Allerton, and my business is based in Hunts Point. So I've always been a Bronx kid, growing up. Sometimes, I got to see a lot of negative connotations about the Bronx, but the last 3-4 years, I really came to embrace a lot of things in my life. Like, I'm Afro-Dominican, I'm Black, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm from the Bronx, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry, okay? I don't know what to tell you, son. I'm from here, and this is
talk
why
that talk. You better talk.
You know what I mean?
Talk.
Like, I don't know what to tell
That's
you. Like, I'm
fact.
from here. You feel me? So it's just one of those things where, I'm from the Bronx. I was raised here. I want to establish my business even further here. You know what I mean? People always tell me, yo, like, why don't you bring your business to Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan? And I'm like, everywhere but the Bronx. And it's just like, number one, there's nothing like it out here. And I would like to create more opportunities for other people to see me. You know what I mean? And, I did say that I don't feel like I'm successful to a certain degree because there's so much more that I want to go. You know what I mean? But sometimes I speak to high school students or fifth graders, and they look at me like, wow, like, you look like me and you talk like me and you're from where we from and you own that company and you sell coffee and it's not Starbucks. What? You know what I mean? And then they're like, so I could do that too. And I'm like, facts. You know what I mean? So then I think about that and I'm like, we got to bring that to the Bronx. Cause I remember when I was growing up, I used to look around like, damn, like, why would I ever dream of being a doctor if I don't got any doctors as my neighbors? Like, why would I want to be a dentist if I don't have any dentists to bump into at the grocery store? You know what I mean? Like, it's like you go for what you see. Like you reach for what's attainable. You know what I'm saying? If a fruit's in front of you and it's hanging, you're gonna go and grab it. But if you gotta get a ladder and there's no ladders around, it's not feasible. So for me, it's one of those things where it's important to keep it in the Bronx, expand in the Bronx, and just create opportunities for the community.
There are two things I want to call out that you mentioned. One is the importance of representation, right? Like, if you, to your point, if you don't see anybody doing it, what it is you might be interested in doing in the future, how do you know you could do it, right? If you don't see, we don't. And here's the other thing, right? Like, we started to talk about you being a first generation here in this country. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, right. First generation college student, first generation entrepreneur, right? Like, all of those first generational things, which oftentimes where we come from, right? And by we, I mean like low income communities in the Bronx, right? People of color and first generation folks. Our families don't always understand what entrepreneurship means. They don't always understand what the different career paths are that exist, right? My mom doesn't fully understand everything that I do, right? Like, she knows, oh, you work here, you do this, boom, that's it, right? Like, we never have a chance to get into those deep conversations, and I would love to, right? But it takes time. And so I think what you just said is so important, going back to the schools, elementary school, middle school, high schools, and just talking about what you do. The other thing I want to mention, right? So that's the first, just the importance of representation and being able to share that knowledge and create the path for others, right? The second thing is, take a second to celebrate your wins, brother. Like, I could imagine that you work really hard, right? Kevin and I, we do 1,018 things and we're always on go, 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 go. But never do we take a second to just step back and be like, damn, yo, that's my coffee business in the supermarket right now. That's my joint. I made that. You feel me?
Nice.
Because, you do want to, it's only the beginning for you, right? And you're really young and you want to get to these next levels. So we want you to get there. We encourage that. We support that. But you've accomplished so much so far, right? Think about all the first generational things you mentioned. So I say that to say, as a nugget to anybody out there who's on their grind, make sure you take a second to stop and celebrate your wins. Doesn't matter how small it is.
Word, I agree. And honestly, for me, 2020 was a year, bro. It was a fight of survival. It was everything. You know what I mean? I was for the first 2 weeks of quarantine, I was in my house like, son, I just lost everything I built because we're in lockdown. We can't do nothing like this pandemic. Nobody knows what's going on. And then after 2 weeks, I was like, nah, son, we outside, we bully out here. And then I got my because I'm a manufacturer. They came out with this list of businesses that were essential, and I was a manufacturer. That's technically how I'm on paper. I'm a coffee manufacturer. I was like, I cool, I'm eligible to be outside. I was outside the whole pandemic, going to stores here, going to stores there, going to this place, doing online sales, going to the post office. I was just everywhere, roasting coffee here, picking up in Jersey. I was everywhere. And 2020 was a crazy year. You know what I mean? I did everything and anything to survive, right? And we're here, we're still here, thank God. And when January came, 2021, I was just like, you know what, this is my month. I did that, 2020, I did that. I'm gonna start the year off just chilling, and I was just mainly chilling. I think a lot of people forget about self-care. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a thing that in our community, and I'm talking about the low-income community. You know what I'm saying? The marginalized community. We're always talking about the hustle, and it's like, yo, you gotta take care of yourself, because there's no I forgot the line. There's no health and wealth, or what is it? Without health, there's no wealth. You know what I'm saying? Because if you sacrifice your health and then you got the wealth, now you could pay millions of dollars, but you can never be who your body was or who your health was. You know what I mean? And I think that's a very important thing. So I'm glad you mentioned that. But definitely got to take time to celebrate the wins and do the micro tokens. Yeah.
And one of my big homies has a saying. One of my big homies, Daytwan, who's actually on the show last season.
Shout out to the homie.
Shout out to the homie Daytwan. PTA, protect the asset. The asset meaning yourself, right? So if you aren't good, nothing that you're doing is going to be good. So Thanks. I'm glad that we're talking about self-care. But I want us to backtrack a little bit. So you are a full-blown entrepreneur out in the world. Take us through that journey, right? How did you start? Did you always know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? So for some of the people listening who might be budding entrepreneurs, how did your journey begin?
Word, because we don't wake up in the Bronx and be like, yo, I'm going to start a coffee business and figure out how to make coffee, right?
No,
so, yo, that's so dope.
I remember when I called my boy Onassis, bro. I FaceTime him, bro. I'm in college in my dorm room, bro. I'm upstate in Rochester. I FaceTime him like, yo, bro, I'm starting a coffee business. He's like, bro, what are you talking about, bro? You from the hood, bro. You talking about coffee, bro. You make believe Starbucks. Yo, he just started clowning me, cutting my ass.
Yo, and for those of you who don't know, yo, roasting and joking is a normal part of like growing up in the Bronx. Right. It's just what we do.
Right. It's just a part of the culture. Yeah.
It makes you tougher. It makes you tougher.
And yeah, man, for me, yeah, you know it's crazy. I could trace back my entrepreneurship abilities to being young, like being in the yard, trying to sell avocados to my neighbors from my backyard, or mangoes. Like, yo, son, you want this mango from my backyard? But I'm a 5 pesos. I need them 5. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I've sold candy on the trains here, bro. Like, that's a New York City classic. You know what I'm saying? Fruit snacks, 2 for $1. You know how that go.
You selling it? You wasn't selling it for your basketball team?
No. I was a genuine entrepreneur, bro. I used to pull up. I did the train one time, and then we used to post up on 77th Street on the 6th train, and I pull up with my fruit snacks. At some point, we upgraded to Oreos as well. We started selling Famous Amos, bro. We had the whole 9. You know what I mean? And we used to do our pitch. And
yo, what was your pitch? You remember it?
I don't even remember. It was more like it was like fruit snacks, $1 each. Because the thing about the 77th Street station, we would go there after school. So people will be getting out of work and they're rushing to the train. So you don't really got a long spiel. It was really an elevator pitch. So a lot of the things that I grew up doing, I look at it now in business ways. Like, I was doing an elevator pitch. Fruit snacks, $1 each. Quick, easy. What's the product? What's the price? Do you want to buy it? Fruit snacks, $1 each. Boom. People will come down the stairs. Here's $1. Boom. Boom. Boom, boom. Oh, they're trying to catch the train. I got you. Meet them by the door. Boom. You know what I mean? Like, it was that kind of
Shout out to the customer service.
You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to the customer service.
And then at some point, I never lied. Like, oh, it's for my basketball team or whatever. Like, I've always been very genuine. You know what I mean? Like, people ask me, why are you doing this? You raising money for something? I'm like, no, I'm a student. Went back to high school because I was a dropout at some point. I was like, I'd rather sell candy than sell anything else. And trust me, where I'm from, I got plenty of options to sell anything else. And people will respect it. They'll be like, yo, you selling candy, you're not selling drugs. Hold the 20. I respect it. You know what I mean? And I was just very honest about it. You know what I mean? Like it was just a hustle. Like I went to school because I dropped out of high school at some point, and I went back, and for me to sustain myself, candy was a way. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, like you could go to school, you get out at 3, you go to BJ's, get your candy, you downtown by 4. Now by 4 and 5 and 6, everybody's getting out their corporate office in the Upper West Side, and then you catch them at the 6 train, and bam. You know what I mean? That was a whole hustle. So I've sold
Yo,
t-shirts, hats. I had a dream brand called Dream Chasers one time because I've always been chasing my dreams. That's why they call me DC Heck, Dream Chaser Heck. Sold candy. I used to sell watches at Macy's, bro. I've done it all,
yo,
bro.
Meek Mill, don't come for my mans. Don't come for
He gonna come from it. You know what I'm saying? But it was a very inspiring thing for me. It was just like I always felt like, just chasing my dreams, and just I always felt like wherever I came from wasn't gonna depict where I was going in life. And I don't know. It was one of those things where I just always knew I was gonna do something. You know what I mean? Like I just always had a hunger. Like I would say, to put it like this, I always seeked an opportunity, but I never got one. And then I came across this one, and I was like, boom, okay. But before that, it was like, well, I got an opportunity to go back into school. So I went to a transfer high school. I went to Smith, right? And then after that, it was like, oh, heck, you going to college? And I looked at my counselor like, college? Oh, that's a thing. And he was like, yeah, you could apply, go to CUNY, local. You don't got to go away. And I was just like, eh. I looked at my mom like, yeah, mom, you said I just got to finish high school. Now I got to do college too. I was like, I bet. So then I got into community college. And then when I was in community college, it was like hustling. You know what I mean? For me, it was like the entrepreneurial spirit was like, I get the restart. I get fresh grades. I get fresh this. And it's a new environment. I don't know nobody. I get to pick my own path from here. And when I got in there, it was just like, yo, hustle for your grades. And then got a scholarship here. And then I got a scholarship to go to University of Rochester. I was like, hustle again. Then I was there, and then that's where I incubated my business. But I've always wanted to do something, like if I went to school, I always had to do something after school, at home, online. I always had to do. I used to sell stuff on eBay. Like I've always just had that spirit because I just always felt like school wasn't enough productivity for us. Like typically, you grow up in the Bronx and you don't see the gratification of school. Like you just don't really see it like that. You know what I mean? So for me, it was always like I had to do something else to make up for what I felt like wasn't me achieving success at that time.
One thing that I thought was really dope is you kind of, you made the connection between selling candy, right?
yes,
And
yes.
like an elevator pitch, which is something very business-esque.
Right.
And I think so many times we compartmentalize. We are able to kind of hustle and survive and thrive in one setting, but we don't always know how to kind of translate that to another one. So I love the fact that you were able to kind of take those skills, right? To be able to hustle, to be able to sell things, right? And say, you know what? I'm going to take that spirit, that energy, and I'm gonna do that in the coffee world. I'm gonna do that in college. I'm gonna do that in the business world. Were you able to always just kind of see that alignment, or did you have a mentor? Did you have someone who was able to kind of help you take those skills to the next level, or how did you figure it out?
Can we before you don't lose sight of that mentor question, because Kevin, you just mentioned something that I feel like we can't just skate by, right? And Hector, based on what you just said, can we actually break down what those things are? Like in the hood, like when you're about to sell candy, you sell whatever it is that you're doing on the block, you know your audience, right? Let's talk about let's really have a conversation about this, right?
Let's talk about it.
You know what your brand is, right? Yo, you just
Right.
a genuine dude from the Bronx, and people are gonna take to that. They're gonna take to that because you're not doing anything that others would seem as negative.
You know your
right?
product, right? You know the thing that you're selling, right? People are hungry. People are on the go.
And it's profitable because you know the cost and the revenue.
And you know your profit margins, right? You just said you go to BJ, you probably buy on wholesale, and then you're able to, you know what I'm saying, break down what the cost is and what you're bringing home and what you need, how much money you got to put away for your next purchase.
The capital investment, yeah.
Capital investment, talk that talk. You feel me? You know your purpose. You clearly know what you're doing, right? And why you're doing it. And am I missing anything else here?
Customer service.
Customer service.
We talked about it. Yeah.
Supply and demand.
Come on. You know what I'm saying? And the reason that I wanted to pause, sorry to cut you off, Kev, is because to your point, So many people look down upon the hood. They look down upon us trying to make a hustle and figure this out. And many of us internalize that. But if we're able to say, like, look at life and what it is we're trying to do in the same way we do survival and hustle, bro, ain't nothing stopping you.
Word,
Over.
word. I'm about to get into that mentor question, but right before I get in there, you sparked a crazy thought. There's this speaking of mentors, he was actually a mentor of mine when I started in coffee, and he's still a good friend of mine. His name is Irvin Liz. He's from the Colombian Coffee Connection in Colombia, and he studied here in the States, man. He's from a tribe out in Colombia, and I remember one time on Facebook he posted like his final project or a project from his college experience, and he was talking about necessity-based entrepreneurship and opportunity-based entrepreneurship. Right now, a lot of people where we come from, they do necessity-based, like the doñas on the corner, the icy man. You think you want to sell ices? Probably not. You know what I mean? The Paragua guy, the patarito lady, like, yo, like people really be out here hustling because it's a necessity. Like I sold candy out of necessity, and a lot of people sell many other things out of necessity. They have no option. They gotta eat. They gotta feed their family, right? Now there's people like me in a different stage in life where I was in college and I had an opportunity to make a coffee business because I was in a place that I was incubated to learn these business terms, to learn how to build a business plan and a marketing plan. And I was in a space where I could apply for a college grant that gave me $500 to just start my business, which you could buy the raw materials, figure out what the cost of goods sold are, figure out what the operations is, and then come up with something as a class project, right? So I just wanted to throw out there the two different types of entrepreneurs that you have. And typically in our community, you have necessity based. And in many other communities, you have opportunity based. And sometimes I think that's the difference between thriving and expanding. But in terms of mentors, yeah, man. This is, I'm not a very religious dude, but I'll tell you this much. When I was like 16, 17, like I just felt lost. Like it was like, yeah, I ain't, like my dad had left when I was young. It was me and my mom in the projects. And I just never felt like I had a direction in life. Like I just never felt like I had a guide, like a father figure to be like, this is how you go about life. This is how you go about school. This is how you go about a job. Like my mom tells me, get a good job, work there 35 years and retire. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just not it. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't it for me. And that's when I started seeking people outside of my community. Remember when I was talking about doctors and dentists, like they're not my neighbors, right? So when I was selling candy, I was meeting people who were high level people who worked out of corporate offices, people who wore suits to work every day. And me, ninjas like me, I look at that like, damn, so homie wearing suits to work every day, man. I like that. That suit look plain. You know what I mean? So one day I'm on
Word.
77th Street, right? So, yo, the cops pull up on you as a candy boy, right? So I'm on 77th Street. MTA police pull up on me, like NYPD, MTA pull up on me. And since we technically don't have permits to sell candy and a taxed vendor ID, they bust our chops. So if they catch you, they'll take all your money and they'll take your candy and they'll book you at the station on 14th Street. Anyways, that's a whole nother conversation, right? Even marginalized when you're doing the right thing. So then I was at 77th Street. They pulled up on me. Then I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna act like I left the station, and then I'm gonna get low to 68th Street. Boom, the one station over. Kept on pushing my candy, and then this lady comes up to me. Her name is Migna Tavares, and then she pulls up in a suit, with her business briefcase, and she asked me, uh, "Kid, you ever thought about going to college?" And I looked at her like, um, not, not really. Not, I never really been posed that question. You know what I mean? And then she gave me her business card, and then she's Dominican, I'm Dominican. Like she just kind of knew that was my background. I don't know why, but she knew. And then she was like, "Yo, like here's my business card. You should email me. Maybe I can mentor you, or like you can have an internship in my office." And then here I am, bro. After school the next day, and I'm like, "How do I write an email, son?" The subject, the opening line, the middle piece, then the closing. I'm like, I literally had to Google it. I actually went to my counselor and I was like, I gotta send this email. Like, how do I write this email? And that was like my first introduction to like professionalism. So then fast forward, I got an internship at her office on 42nd Street, 420 Lexington. That and I had to wear a suit every day. I went to H&M, bought myself a suit with some candy money.
I was gonna say candy money.
Yeah, candy money, and I pulled up every day with the same suit, bro. I just switched up the shirts, And it was my first environment where I was like, wow, like I'm in Midtown. Like I'm taking this elevator like 20 plus floors. Everybody's wearing suits. I'm talking to people who you know what I'm saying? They up there. And then just being in that environment just made me learn a lot of things. And I just for lunch, I would just sit there with this guy and he would just start talking stocks and bonds and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, okay. So let
How
me
old were you at this time?
I had to be like 18, 18, 19, about 18, 18, 19. So maybe 17. I remember, to be honest.
But you were
But
young though. But you
I
were
was young.
young.
I was young. It's my timeline is a little weird because I took a year, about a year or a year and a half off from high school. So then like my timeline was like off. But yeah, that was I was like 17, 18. And I was just learning these things and I got curious, you know what I mean? Being in that environment, I learned a lot of things, you know, and then we had a youth leadership program at my school. It was called Building Better Men. And we used to do community, you know, community gardens. We would go clean, we would do community projects and stuff like that. You know, we would volunteer locally. And then after that, I got into college. And in college, it was like, boom. Now we have United Men of Color, which is another mentorship program. And it was just a bunch of young brothers in this group, and then we will get mentored by these people who will come in. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Earn Your Leisure podcast?
We
Rashad
love
Brother.
Yup,
EYLs.
yup, yo, shout out to
Shout out
them.
to
We
Yo,
need to get them on.
EYL.
Yo, if
bro,
y'all listening, y'all need to get on this show one day, man.
bro.
EYL.
So you, Monk, you're not a man of color. But before EYL, Rashad Bilal pulled up to school, right? He pulled up to the school
Oh
and he
snap.
spoke to us about financial literacy. And then me being who I am, seeking more mentors, me and him met at the Starbucks on Fordham. And he was teaching me about the Series 7 and all these financial things and stuff like that. And there was like people like that will come to my school in Midtown. And it was like Rashad Bilal and a bunch of other people from different institutions and backgrounds. And it was that space of incubation, you know what I mean? And then I got into student government, and then I was kind of like a leader on campus, or I was a leader on campus, and it was like a figure where people looked at me and they were like, "Yo, people looking at you, like they looking at you and everything that you do, and whether it's good or bad, but we're watching you." And I was just like, wow, like the sense of like leadership is real because now I'm really accountable for things, you know. And it was always one of those things where I just wanted to expand. Learn. I've always been a sponge. I was always hungry to learn, always hungry to get to the next level. You know what I mean? And I've always been a hustler. So I just kind of went with the flow. You just go with the flow and you just chase. You know what I mean? Like at different stages in life, you just hustle different things. You know what I mean? And for me, it was always networking, expanding, learning. You know, I'm a lifelong learner, man. Once you stop learning, you stop living. You know what I mean? Like you just die. Like I think it's always good to keep on learning and expanding. You know what I mean? And being open minded.
Yo, so what's brewing up for me here, right, is essentially the recipe to entrepreneurship. You saw what I did with the brewing up, right? You know what I'm saying, you caught that. All right, so look, but think about this for a second, and we got a lot more to talk about, right? But you're talking about where you started, right? First generation, you needed to survive. You were like, I'm gonna try to make ends meet, and I'm gonna try to do this in the most positive way that I can do it. Whatever other people thought, whatever. But to you, you were like, yo, this is it. Boom. So you start doing that. You get the exposure. Somebody comes over to you. They're like, yo, you ever thought about college? Boom. That turns into an internship. You're taking advantage of the opportunity, right? So this is a constant story, a constant thing in your story, right? We're seeing that whenever somebody's like, yo, let's talk, here's my business card, reach out to me, etc., you're taking advantage of that, right? And so as you're doing that, those folks become part of your support network, right? And they
Nice.
become a part of your story and your journey. So now you got the exposure, you got the mentorship, the guidance, right? You already have that hustler mentality from growing up, right? And then little by little, you're going into this leadership role probably without you even realizing that that's what's happening before your eyes, and
Right.
thinking about your journey and knowing how to overcome challenges like nothing was going to set you back. So now there's a little bit of a recipe coming together here, and we'll see where this goes and where this ends up with the rest of your story.
I like what you did with the brewing, Jay. That was clever.
You know what I'm saying?
You feel me? You feel me?
Yeah, you know, and I say this all the time, man. I tell my friends, like, if people in the hood, aka the Bronx, right? Because that's my hood, right? If people in the hood, the Bronx, really knew what they were doing. If you look at it from a professional lens or a business lens, like you really do a lot of things that people do on a different scale. You know what I mean? It's all about just applying it to a different environment, and that's really what it is when you look at it from the top down.
Transferable skills. Take
Right.
those skills and put them in a different environment, and you can take over the world.
Right. It's
And
like when Diddy said if Big Meech, what I'm saying, had discovered the legal game, you
yeah,
know what I mean? He would have put that same energy and sales skills and vibes and just hustle to that.
and that's why they don't want us in those rooms, to keep it real,
Right.
because they know with the skills and the mindset and all of that we could take over.
Right.
And here's the other thing, right? As you're naming artists, right? Think about Biggie Smalls, 10 Crack Commandments, right? Like he is telling you, and I'm not telling anybody to go out and do what he's saying, but if you take those same tenets of entrepreneurship, you can apply that to different industries and different entrepreneurial like dreams. You know what I'm saying? Like it's some real stuff in the streets.
Facts, facts. And I think, honestly, I don't think everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. I think everybody has something going for them. You know what I mean? Like I've done internships in various industries. I've sat at various desks from 9 to 5. And I'll tell you this much, bro. I hate sitting at a desk from 9 to 5 to work on what you tell me to work on. I'm sorry. Okay. And I've built something for myself where, like, yes, I today I sat here at a desk from 9 to 5. I did that. You know what I mean? But I don't do that every day. I built a culture for myself that I can be successful, because I can't sit here I could sit here every day if you want me to, because I can. It's my company now, right? It's different. But I like to switch the environment. I like to always make my work feel new and different and innovative, right? I'm a roast on Wednesdays. I'm gonna come in here on Thursday, but I'm gonna have interviews. I'm gonna work with people. I'm gonna collaborate. Fridays I'm doing something. Then Saturday and Sunday I'm at the farmers market, so I'm interacting with the customers, and they're telling me how much they love the coffee, and I'm just like, wow, you just, Bill, you just made me hype. Like, now, thank you. Like, because of your feedback, I want to do this more. And then Monday, I'm chilling. Then Tuesday, I'm back on the road. You know what I mean? So it's always about just keeping it different. I don't think everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur, and I think we live in an age where everybody's looked at like, you spending your money on this and that while you ain't invested. And it's like, listen, if somebody wants to spend their money on what they want to spend, that's cool. It's their money, not yours. You know what I mean? But it's one of those things where it's not meant for everybody. But I think it's one of those things that's gonna make a lot of change. It's gonna make a lot of impact in many communities. You know what I mean? Like, just the fact that I could hire people from my community instead of them going to my head. Like, if I could just tell you, hey, listen, take the 6 string 2 stops, not 15 stops. You could just work at home. You could work in the Bronx. Like, you could get a job here. You could get a career here. That sounds crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you always heard of Manhattan, Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn, but we never had that in the Bronx. You know what I mean? And I think if we take those entrepreneurial skills and apply it to building our own wealth, we talk about gentrification, but how about we buy the block? You know what I'm saying? Like, how about if we don't rent, we own, and we rent to our own people? You know what I mean? That's kind of what I see behind entrepreneurship and change for the Bronx and our community.
Yo, and it's funny. So anyone who knows me knows Jay is my favorite artist ever. So as you're talking, I'm thinking of like a gazillion like Jay lyrics that kind of speaks to all of this. I was
Nice.
actually looking at the Can I Live lyrics right now. I won't spit all of them, but I one thing that you did say I think is interesting. You said that not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. I agree with that, but I do think that not enough people are exposed to the option, especially our people, right?
Right.
So I think what you're doing is super powerful, because if there might be some budding entrepreneurs who didn't know that they could do it, and but seeing you could be that spark, right? So I think I agree with you, but I think the more of us that are entrepreneurs, who knows who we're going to spark in terms of the next generation. So let's get to your coffee. So how did you initially, right? I know you told me before a story about like you in college and it was a project. So tell that story, because I want to hear how this began.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. So in this very office that I'm in, right? My brother has a business here. So I intern. So I went away to college, right? First semester, fall 2018, right? Then I come back in the winter break. I got a month and some change to kill. My brother's like, your school costs 80 racks a year. My brother did not go to college, right? He was first gen. So he has a business here, and he's like, I want you to apply those skills for my business. Let's see, because he's, what I'm saying, he didn't, he's the first entrepreneur in my family. I'm the second, right? But I'm the first college student. So I come here, I'm interning for him, and somebody brews a cup of coffee, bro. Super good. I'm like, yo, what's this? They start putting me on. It's the specialty coffee from Colombia. Da, 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 da. It's 86 points and above. I'm like, damn, son, this thing got points. What is this, wine? So then I take that, had the good cup. Then I go back with the curiosity. Now I'm at the University of Rochester, started my spring semester. Professor's like, guys, for the semester long project, I need you to create a business plan and a marketing plan, and you could do it on Porsche, BMW, whatever brand you want to do it on. If you want to make up something, that's cool too. As long as your teammates are okay with it. So I come up with Don Carvajal Cafe. Don Carvajal Cafe. Let's do it. Organic, natural, ethically sourced coffee from different regions of the world, right? I pitched to my team. They're like, yo, yeah, why not? And I was just like, yo, honestly, I think if this goes well, I just might turn it into a business. Let's do some research. And they were like, yo, we would love to support you. And if we could help you out with the brand, why not? Because I was already curious. Like I started Googling coffee and it's a $300 billion industry. I'm like, whoa, somebody just told me last week it was a $500 billion industry. I'm like, whoa. So we just started doing the project, you know what I mean? And I started building the idea. My teammates were researching one part. I was researching the other, understanding what the operations were. The coffee comes from this farm, and then it has to be imported. Then it has to be transported here. Then it has to be roasted, then packed, distributed. And it was just so many different channels from it. There's K cups, there's ground, there's whole bean coffee. You could do pour overs, you could do the mocha pot, which is the greca. You could. It's just a huge industry. And some articles I would read just like the coffee world is so saturated, you shouldn't get into it. And then I'm just like, but the coffee world is so big, there's opportunity for everybody, especially in New York City. How many people do we have here? We got millions of people that live here. There's thousands of coffee shops here. You know what I mean? It's just so many opportunities. So we did the brand, we did the project, we presented it on the presentation day. We actually brewed coffee. Like I brought real coffee from us, branded by us. Like I requested a small grant from the school, and they gave me like $300. I bought a coffee sack from Costa Rica, got it roasted to a local company, at a local company called Javas. And then we got branded labels. It was we had a logo, it was branded. Yo, I took it serious, bro. And I pulled up to class, and then other students took their project serious too. But I pulled up with the coffee bag with the beans in it. Then in the morning, we actually pulled up with the kettle. We brewed hot coffee there. We walked through with the tray. We gave every student in there, including the professor, a sample of the actual coffee while we were presenting the coffee brand. And people were like, this thing smells good. It tastes good. Wow, that's the presentation. Oh my God, take my money. Right? So then at the ending of the presentation, we got top grade, best of the class. Um, and somebody raised their hand in the ending. They were like, yo, I see you got 3 bags at the front desk. Those got real beans in it, right? Because you brewed the coffee. And I was like, yeah. They literally asked me, how much is that bag? And I was like, oh, it's $17.95, just like the presentation said. And they were like, well, you got change for a 20. I was like, nah, it was like, just keep it. Homies gave me a 20 for it. I was like, homies gave me a 20 for this bag of coffee. I was like, hold up. And that's when I knew. I was like, yo, this is it. Like, this is real. Like somebody just pulled the 20 out their pocket. Then somebody else asked, is that other bag available? I was like, yo, son, nah, there's no way. And after that was just like a confirmation. You know what I mean? Like it was the, I forgot what the term of it is, but it was the confirmation that this product worked. Like the idea, the story, the branding, it was a thing. People believed in it. They were sold on the product. You know what I'm saying? And after that, I walked over. Class finished. It was my last class of the day. I walked into my dorm room. I Googled how to reserve an LLC, and I spent $250, and I reserved mine right then and there, bro. Don Carvajal Cafe LLC. And then I had like 40 something pounds of coffee left. Sold some to the campus store, and then I was on Instagram like, yo, what up, y'all? So I got this coffee, Don Carvajal Cafe. I don't remember what the pitch was, but it was like, yo, I just started this coffee company, Don Carvajal Café. It's a specialty coffee company, roasted every week. It's fresh. If you guys want to buy some, just DM me. Let's get it. Bro, I sold the 40 something pounds of coffee in 2 days on Instagram DM. People asking me, how do I pay you? I'm like, yo, I take PayPal, Zelle, Cash App, whatever you want to give me. I'll take it. Coco
The
Cherry,
hustler.
you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, as long as you're paying me, I'm not gonna discriminate your method of payment. And I flipped that, and then I was just like, nah, it's game time. Let's get it popping. And then I ordered more and more and more. I've been flipping it ever since, and whatever turns.
So this started as a group project, in college that you
Yeah.
turned into a legit business, bought your LLC on the spot.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And it's interesting because right before we started the group project, I told my teammates, I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about making this into a business if it goes well.
That's
And
that's actually what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
So what happened to the other?
I asked them, I was like, yo, if you guys are going to work on this, are you guys interested in equity in this? And they were like, no, not really. Two of them were going to grad school. The other one was just a student. They were just like, we're not interested. This is your idea. We just want to support you. You know what I mean? So yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Did you have them sign anything? Because when you like up there making it, you don't want them to come back and be like, well, actually.
Yeah, I don't think I did, to be honest. I think it was more of it was a shake a hand kind of thing. I think I spoke to my professor, but he was like, it's a class project. It's nothing binding or something like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then look at what you just said. That process you just went through, right? Go back to that candy business you had going on. You feel me? Like there's full circle. And now, with everything you're doing, we kind of take a second to step back. It was like what? Not even 10 years ago, right? Where you were starting your first business. And look at where you are now, man. So shout out to you. Like I said, celebrate those wins. We want to give you your flowers. And, keep doing your thing, man. Just a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like, it sounds like you were really excited. You were like, yo, I'm gonna go start this LLC, right?
Facts.
Was there any part of you that was nervous about growing your business and taking a step in this direction?
Honestly, no. Not like I don't think there was an inch of doubt in my body because it was just trusting my intuition, bro. Like I believe in trusting your gut. Just trusting your gut, trust your intuition. And for me, it was just like I just saw the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like it was like that moment on 68th Street when she gave me the business card. It was like, email me. And I was like, word, Brett, email you? I don't know how to email, but I'm gonna email you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got you. Say no more, fam. So for me, it was just another moment of opportunity, man. And for me, I've always wanted to be in that equity realm. Like I never knew the word was equity, but it was being an owner of something that I worked for and that it reciprocated the value, you know what I'm saying? And the benefits to myself and my family and my nephew and my future kids, because I don't have any, right? But it just felt right. It just felt right. And I've always loved being an entrepreneur. I've always loved making my own schedule, although there's a big misconception on being an entrepreneur and making your own schedule. Like you don't work less, you actually work more and make less. But it's a long-term game. And I think people fail to understand that. But it just felt right. It just felt like the right decision. It felt like the right hustle. It felt like nothing different in my life. And it was just, getting it on and popping. So yeah.
Yo, something Jay and I talk about all the time, man. If you build it, they will come, right? Like if you take a leap of faith on yourself, like I'm super proud of my brother Jay. He started his LLC, and now the business is coming in, and
it's
insane, a beautiful thing.
Bro. It's insane. Like it is so true, man. Like just when for me, I don't know if you experienced this, right? But like, and you spoke about it a little bit, but when I saw that, I created a product, right? So I'm in the consulting world, right? And so I create a product that somebody's like, yo, we want that, or like we're gonna pay you X amount. When I started seeing these figures, yo, like, and I'm like, damn, that's my intellectual property. This is what this is the product I'm able to put together, and I'm able to get X amount of dollars, right? Like that is a different. I was like, yo. And it just makes you want to like talk about hustle. Oh, it's game time, right? Like now you're like, nah, I could see what I could do. And for me, in the next 5 years, I'm hoping that I could venture off to do like whatever that thing is going to be that I'm going to do, like just do my own thing. You feel me? And start to align that and figure that out. But I mean, that feeling, yo, like is different.
Yeah, I remember I was watching a video. It was an interview on Wall Street Trapper, and he was saying something about I forgot what the line was, but I just remember this one piece, and it was when you stop trading your time for money, you know what I mean, and just you value your time more. And for me, it's funny because this past week and the last 2 weeks, I've had a lot of people come up to me just to talk to me about coffee on Zoom and how to get started and how to do this, and I'm just like, yo, no cap, that's a consulting question. And I think in the community that we come from, people tend to ask you questions loosely as if this is not your livelihood. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand that. People like me and you, Jay, it took you a minute to get to where you at. Like I've been building my knowledge set in my experiences since I was 7 years old selling avocados in the Dominican Republic, and then it was 15 selling candy, or 17, right?
Pay
And
me.
then, you know what I'm saying? And
Pay
I
me.
think, and Diddy was talking about that with General Motors. It's like, oh, we're here, we stand in solidarity with the Black community, but pay us. You want us in your ads, but pay us. We have a big clientele, we have a big following. You're gonna get exposure. Exposure don't pay me. Exposure don't pay me. You know what I'm saying? It don't pay your rent. My rent don't care. My car insurance don't care. My food don't care.
And do both, right? Because that's a drop
Right.
in the bucket to you, right?
Right.
The exposure's cool. That's helpful.
They got the budget. They got the budget.
Definitely have the budget.
So it's one of those things. Yeah, go for it.
And that's the other thing too, though, right? Like we also take for granted the knowledge that we have. Like the reason I started LLCs, because like everyone was always saying to me, like, yo, you got a story to tell. You got a story to tell. I was like, yo, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I know I got a story in a really interesting life experience, right? But no one told me what to do with that, like where to go. And so for a few years I was thinking about this, and I was doing stuff for free because I was like, nah, people ain't gonna pay me yet for it. Then one day I'm on a train and one of the big homies is like, Jay, you playing right now. And we said the same thing. Like I learned how to, start the LLC, went through that whole process, right? Where now it's true, man. You don't think about how much knowledge you have and how many years you've spent, thinking about things. So today, the reason you could, and just generally all of us, right, in the work that we do, we could put a program together. We could start a brand. We could do something in a short amount of time. And that might take somebody else a much longer time. So when they come to you and they hear like, yo, you could do this in 10 minutes, they don't realize the amount of work that went into that. So I'm not going to give you this free game for all the years of work that I had to put into it. You feel me?
Right. And today I had a conversation with one of my mentors. Mentors is key, man. They just save you time, energy, and mistakes. And it was one of those things where I was sitting here like, yo, April 17, which is a few days from now, it's my second year anniversary being in business as a corporation, right? As an LLC, right? And I think about it and it's like, yo, it took me 2 years to get here. Before that, I've been hustling, I've been bustling, I went to college, I changed majors X amount of times. I took that class, I dropped that class, I felt this. I was a high school dropout. I was in the streets doing stupid shit. Like I've been building this up for a hot minute, right? And people tend to ask me things like, it's a 10-minute answer for a 5-year experience. You know what I'm saying? And I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what? This is my corporation price. This is my homie price, and this is the community price. You know what? Let's just get on a Zoom call, bro. I got you. I'll give you the boost. You know what I'm saying? But don't come here expecting to get everything handed to you. You know what I'm saying? Like I love to talk to people and like, let me give you the spark, but you got to keep the light on. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me give you the spark, but how do I file an LLC? This is the website. This is the article. I'm not gonna file it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna take you to the water, but you gotta drink. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna walk you there, but you gotta figure out your own way. So I think it's one of those things where people, when they come to people like us or people who are very busy, it's like, take me to the water, but I can't make you drink. You know what I mean? Like we got you, but you can't expect us to hold you throughout the way. And I think that's important for our community. Like I love giving back, but I can't spend my whole week on Zoom calls giving back because I got a business to run. You know what I mean? So when I could squeeze in a call, I squeeze it in. But I've realized that I'm at a certain point where like I can't hop on every call. And I realized that because there was a week where I was on calls all week, just talking to the community and talking to the homies and just giving back and trying to help them on their thing. And I was like, hold up. I'm taking bricks out of my house that I'm building. It's not even done yet, and I'm giving it to everybody else. So my house is never gonna be finished. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where consulting, man, that's a money thing.
Word, yo.
There's a price to pay. Yeah.
Get that consulting money. I respect it.
Definitely. And just to throw one more thing in there, it's just and I respect Jay for doing it, because think about it. When you said about 10 minutes, it's like I've been making mistakes and experiencing things for 2 years, and I'm saving you 2 years of mistakes, of downfalls. I'm saving you money.
There's value in that.
Sleep. There's value in that.
There's a price on that. Yeah.
That's why companies prefer people with experience, because they already been through that mud. You know what I'm saying? They done did the dirty work, and they already came here like, all right, let's get it. What we got to do? You know what I mean?
And the other thing I want to call out, right? Like, again, there are these subtle gems that we've been hearing throughout, right? That you're just dropping. since we started. And one of those things that you just mentioned that I think is important to call out is the way that you have your prices set, right? So there's like the corporate, there's the homie price, and there's the community price. And the big homie who was like encouraging me to start my own joint, he said the same thing. He said, look, you go, you make your money, right? You get your money like corporate, wherever you would, however you gonna do it, you make that money, right? And then as you make that money, it allows you to charge people different prices. So he's pretty, he's doing well with his work. And he was like, yo, now I might charge somebody on the block $15 because I'm making enough money that like the $15 ain't gonna kill me. But you know what I'm saying? I know that the person, because they're putting something there, they're more willing to want to work with you and be more motivated to do the work, right? But it's only $15, right? As opposed to what you might charge somebody else, 10,000. You feel me? So I think I want to highlight that because that is super important, right? And it's not, it's a discount for sure, but it allows you to still, make some commitment, and you're able to pull homies up as you're moving up too.
And you sparked a very good thought in me right now. And it's cool to give it to people for free, but if you give it to them for free, will they see the value in it? You know what I'm saying? Like they might pay $15, right? But they're gonna feel that, wow, I'm spending 15. I'm investing in myself. You know what I'm saying? Somebody hit me up on my DM, a homie from college, and he was like, yo, what is your time worth? I want to hop on a Zoom call with you. And I was like, well, last time I did a call, I got paid $250 for 30 minutes. That's how much I got paid last time. I don't have a price. That's just how much I got paid. So I guess that's my price, right? And I was like, listen, don't worry about it. If you want a whole hour, technically that would be 500. I was like, bro, you the homie. Don't even worry about it. If you think there's value in me, cool. Let's get on a call. We'll do an hour. You tip me whatever you want. Whatever you think is worth within your budget, you give me that. You know what I'm saying? And it's that sense of like, there's that investment piece. Like there's that initiative. Like I'm going to give you this money because you're going to give me something for me to take and flip it and better myself.
Word. And aside from the homies and like those discounts, you better get your price right, bro. So when you start doing these Zoom calls, you better, you know what I'm saying? You better be ready with your price.
I got a price now. I had to make a few phone calls
I had
to
do the same thing, yo. I had to do the same thing.
Yeah, I got a few requests and I was just like, let me call some people because I got to get these numbers right. So yeah, I got the prices down. Yeah. Email me, Hector.
We gonna add your
price right, most def. So I think there's one thing that I'm a little different than the two of y'all on this call. I am not a coffee drinker. So I think I'm not a coffee drinker at all. But I could be convinced, right? I could be convinced. I'm open to things and stuff like that. So tell me about your coffee, right? What is the flavor like? How would you describe it? And also let people know where to find it. Because I'm going to try the coffee. Jay can tell you.
60 seconds, 60-second elevator pitch. You've been waiting for this your whole life.
Let's do it. Make me a believer.
All right, so Don Carvajal Café is a specialty coffee roaster. We roast our coffee weekly in Long Island City, Queens, but we're based out of the South Bronx. So right now we have offerings from Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Colombia, and Brazil. So we roast our coffees fresh. They're all organic. They're all natural. We don't add any preservatives or anything to change the quality of the coffee. We only roast what we project to sell for the week, and everything's on demand. You know what I mean? So it's a very tailored service. It's a micro roast. It's a small batch, small operation kind of company. You know what I mean? People say handmade, but I'm like, how do you hand make coffee? But basically, it's coffees from different parts of the world. My favorite is the Dominican one because that's where I'm from, and I'm building equity for my people back home. At the same time, we just dropped the Greca blend, which is a blend of 3 different coffees, which is Brazil, Colombia, and Dominican Republic, tailored for the mocha pot, which is the Greca. I feel like in the specialty coffee industry, the mocha pot is the frowned upon brewer. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not specialty. It's not the boom. It's not a part of the new kid on the block kind of scene. And for me, it was like, I need to highlight that because I grew up drinking that with my mom and whatnot, and my whole culture is on that. And it's like, are you gonna try to leave us out of this equation? It's not gonna rock like that. So I dropped the Greca blend, it's my biggest, proudest product right now because I feel like it's putting the culture on the map. So that's Don Carvajal Café, specialty coffee roaster.
Where where can we find it? Right. So what stores?
Yes, sir. So right, we used to be in 60 stores across the city. I lowered it to 40 to manage the quality better. I'm all about managing the quality and how long coffee can stay on the shelf. But you can purchase it directly no matter where you're at in the United States, including Hawaii and Puerto Rico, at doncarvajalcafe.com.
So as a person who is not a big coffee guy, where should I start? What would you recommend for me?
I would say for you, it's typically in the medium roast. That's the sweet spot, because the dark roast, it might be a little too strong for you. The light roast might taste like tea to you. So it's good to start with a medium roast. Depending if you like something fruity, I say go for Costa Rican. If you like something nutty, go for Brazilian or Dominican. That'll be pretty good.
I think I might try that medium Costa Rican. All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna report back.
All right.
And I will let. I might be newly converted to coffee drinking. So
hold on, wait. To that point, we could buy somewhere in the Bronx too, right?
In the Bronx, yeah. There's a store in the Bronx. It's called Good and Natural on Pelham Parkway. Yeah.
All right, cool. So if you in the X, you could pull up there too.
Yo, Hector, I'm not even gonna hold you. It is Tuesday, and normally Tuesday at like 8 p.m. I'm exhausted, but this conversation definitely woke me up. Like I'm sure your coffee does for people. See what I did, Jay? Mm-hmm. It wasn't as good as your pun, but I tried it. But this conversation definitely was super dope around entrepreneurship, and I am gonna try the coffee. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about all the things that you have going on. A young Afro-Latino entrepreneur in the Bronx, showing out for his community. So thank you, brother. Appreciate you. If you don't mind throwing out your social medias, so people can stay in tune with what you're doing as well.
Definitely. So you can follow the brand at doncarvajalcafe.com. Don Carvajal Café. That's the website. You can follow it at Don Carvajal Café, and then you can follow my personal to see the day in and day out of an entrepreneur in the Bronx within the 5 boroughs, just hustling every day, because I keep it real. And I just wanted to tell you guys, I enjoyed this interview. A latte. Had to throw that one in there for you.
3 for 3. 3 for 3.
Word.
Yo, and Jay, if you don't mind throwing out our social medias real quick.
Facts. You could follow Live from the Bronx on Instagram at Live from the Bronx. That's Facebook as well, at Live from the Bronx. You could follow us on Twitter at Live from the BX. And you can check out our website, www.livefromthebronx.com. We are also streaming on YouTube at Live from the Bronx. And you can shoot us an email. Let us know how you feel. Leave a review. Let us know who you want to see on this show. Email us at info@livefromthebronx.com. And real quick, Kev, before you piece us out, that Earn Your Leisure, we need you on this show, all right?
Let him know.
Yes, sir. We're going to tag him. We're going to
text him like, yo, Rashad, stop playing.
You got him on the tag. Oh, that's a big flex. I was like, we're gonna tag him. That was a big flex.
It's the network, man.
Your network is your net worth.
You work for it.
I respect it.
Now I respect Rashad and the whole gang at UIL, man. They doing big things.
No doubt. We did it, y'all.